everybody. I'm getting some questions about chord progressions, even some jazz chords. A lot of people are saying, I know my majors, I know my minors. I want to get into some of the other chords. Let's get into this. This is going to be a whole lesson kind of like on chord theory, basically. And I did one before. I want to keep expanding on it. So all I want you guys to make sure you know is your major scale. Okay, that's it. We're going to use the numeric system, which just means we're going to take our numbers of the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it starts over again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then it starts over again. The reason is all of this stuff will be transferable from key to key. We're going to use, I'm going to show you guys the chord forms as well. So let's get into this. This is really important. To eventually take on into modes. The reason being, if somebody just kind of says like, hey man, I got this thing, you know, it's A minor to D minor, you'll know what numbers those are, and that's going to make sense in a little bit, but you'll know the numerics of those chords, which means you'll also know the corresponding modes or scales to play over those chords. All right, so let's just start with this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're not, our seventh chord, right? We're building a chord off of each one of these notes. Okay, we're not really going to get into. That is our half diminished. Kind of sounds like this. If I'm in key of A, resolves to the A. So we're not really going to use that 7 chord. We're going to be using the majors and the minors, and then we're going to go on into minor 7s, dominant 7s, and major 7s. Okay. So let's take this scale, and I'm just playing it in A. Like I said, we're doing numeric, so it doesn't really matter. But we have of the major scale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Just the reason being is we're going to build chords off of each one of those notes, and not really trying to use like the D string as our root note for these chords. Okay. So what we have is the ability to build. I keep saying it. The ability to keep building chords off of each one of those notes that fit within the key. So basically, we have these notes for 5, 6, 7, and we're only using those notes to build the chord. So that's why not every chord can be major, not every chord can be minor. Once we get into the minor 7s and major 7s, not every chord can be each one of those. They are all designated to certain types of chords. So our 1 chord, it's our major scale. It's the key that we're playing in. So that's going to be major. Now, just like we did this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? My 2 chord is going to be minor, right? My 3 chord, which could be down here, is also minor. And then that 3 chord can also be played here, right? I guess in the key of A, we're in C sharp. There, C sharp minor. Our 4 chords, so now 1, 2, 3, 4th note is major. My 5 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th note of the scale, build a chord off of that, is major. And then my 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you notice, if you do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that note is the same. That's going to be minor. All right, and then like we said, our 7 is half diminished. Think of it this way. A 1, a 4, and a 5 are all major chords. All right, and then your 2, your 3, and your 6 are minors. And your 7 is always half diminished. It has the flat 5 in it. So that gives it like this weird, really weird kind of sound. It's why I don't always count it, just because like it's not used all that much. So if you guys can really remember that, get a pen and a paper out, write some of that stuff down, visualizing this. Now the reason this is important is if I have this, right, that progression that we've heard a million times, you would know, oh, that's a 1 to a 4 to a 5 chord, back to the 4. So that would be like, oh, that's in the key of A. If I move it down here to F sharp, right? Same deal. It's 1, 4, 5 in the key of F sharp. And then you would play your F sharp major scale to kind of fit over. So that's why these are really, really good to know. Deciphering chords, knowing which numbers they are. What I mean by that is, if you guys write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 is major, 2 and 3 are minor, 4 and 5 are major, and 6 is minor. If I have something like this, and any key, right? So here I'm playing a G major, then I'm just going down a half step, and I'm playing an F sharp minor. You would know, you would see that, and you would say like, okay, well, there's only two possibilities, because those chords are a half step apart, not a whole step, right? 1 to 2 is a whole step, 2 to 3 is a whole step, 3 to 4 is a half step, 4 to 5 and 5 to 6 are a whole step away, right? And then 6 to 7 is a whole step, and then 7 to the octave, back to the 1 is a half step. All right, and if you guys don't know, for piano players, it's like a half step is the next key away, and a whole step is 2 keys away. So for us, it's the same. Half step is 1 fret away, a whole step is 2 frets away. Okay, so if we have chords that are only a half step apart, major and minor, can only be a 7 and a 1, 7 and a root note, or a 3 and a 4, right? So in this case, it would be my 4 chord, my 3 chord. And then you'd say, okay, cool, so what key am I in? Oh, I'm in the key of D. Because if I play the D major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I'm gonna give a couple more rounds of this. If we have, I'm gonna give one where you can kind of backtrack, right? You kind of take this way. If I have something like this, D to E, major, they're both major now, right? What I usually will do, or I'll go the opposite way, E to D, right? There's a reason I want to start that way, E to D. Now you're saying like, all right, well, the E's a major, so is it 1? Is it the 1 chord? Okay, let me see. A 1 chord, that means this. Let's see if I play my E major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, because the 7 chord and the octave, the root note, are only a half step away. So it can't be, even though this is major, it can't be my 1 chord. That doesn't fit. All right, is it my 4 chord? Okay, so if this is 4, right, you could kind of do like 4, 5, 6, so I'd be in the key of B. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, no, that wouldn't work, right? Because the 3 and the 4 are only half step apart. All right, well, is it my 5? Because that's my last option for a major chord. So you look at it and you say like, all right, 5, 1. So if that's my 5, where's my 1? Okay, A. That's good. So if you do this, all right, so that's my 5 chord, right? So all you have to do is figure out where your starting note is to land on that note as a 5 chord. So for A, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 5. There it is. E. Is it my 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it a 5 to a 4? Yes, they're both major. Right? So this is awesome to do when you're just learning songs and you can kind of see the progressions and decide what numerics they are. I hope this is making sense. This may take some time to kind of backtrack, go back into, backtrack, go back into. So let's add, and go through that as much as you guys need to. Let's add the 7s in there. Okay, this is the next part of the lesson that I did not get into. You guys might want to chord chart some of these out too. Some people write out their bar chord shapes in charts. Some people do it in tabs. So it's whatever's best. So now we've got 1, 2, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, and 6 minor. If we add the 7s, my 1 chord is what's called a major 7. Okay, let me show you that bar chord form. This is my favorite one. There's a few ways to do it. My favorite one, that's A, that's my root note, nothing on the A string. So it's 5, nothing, 4, 4, 5. Right? That's my favorite one. Now, if you wanted to switch this around, I'm just going to play wherever. It doesn't matter what key. I'm going to break the key a little bit. But if I were going to play a D major 7, it'd be like 5, 7, 6, 7, and then you could even get the 5 down there on the bottom if you wanted. Okay? Now, the reason that works is, right, the other notes in the major chord, which are the 1 note, the 3 note, and the 5 note, those of the major scale, makes up that major chord. All we're doing is adding the 7th note in now. My 1, my 3, my 5, and my 7 note. So it's a major 7. Okay, so there's now 4 notes in this chord rather than just 3. Has a little bit of a different sound, you know, an open form would kind of be like that. So now, my 2 chord is minor, right? So, to make this the 7 version of it, it's a minor 7. So for some of you guys that know, it's just that straight across with this right here. So just like your minor bar chord, you're just lifting up your pinky. I kind of like this version a little bit better. 7, nothing, 7, 7. Right, that's cool. Or 7 and like kind of 7s all the way across. Right, that can work. To carry this on into starting on the A string, it's just like your minor bar chord, you just lift up your pinky. So 2, 4, 2, 3, 2. So that's your minor 7. Now, minor 7 is going to be for the 2 chord. It's going to be the same for the 3 chord, right? Same exact thing for the 3 chord. So your 1 chord's a major 7. Your 2 chord is a minor 7. Your 3 chord is a minor 7, right? Your 4 chord now, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like before when we had a major, it's also a minor 7. Now this is where the theory gets a little strange. I'm going to try it if you guys can follow along. This gets a little weird. The reason that this is a major 7 is it's a major chord, we know that. The way that this chord's built up is actually of this major scale is our 4th note, our 6th note, and our root note. That's what makes our major chord. If I'm going to add the 7 for this chord, it's actually the 3rd scale tone. So now this chord is a 4, a 6, a root note, and a 3. Okay? That's why some of these tend to be, that's why the 4 and the 5 are actually different. I'll show you that. So we've got our major 7. 5, 7, 6, 7. And 5 down there in the bottom if you wanted. Moving up, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, our 5th, which was major. Now, this is a 5, a 7, and a 2. Those are the notes in my 5 major, right? Okay, cool. I gotta add the 7 of this, right? The 7 is always right before the root note. So my 7 is my 4 in this instance, in my 5 chord. Okay, so now this is gonna be built off of a 5, a 7, a 2, and a 4. Because that 4 is a whole step away, not like on this 4 chord, the 4 and the 3 were only a half step away. This is 5 chord. That's a whole step away. This is going to be a dominant 7. All right, for some of you guys I know, it's like 7, 9, 7, 9. You get a 7 there on the bottom too. Or I like this one, where it's 7, 6, 7, nothing, 7. Right, so guys, write that down, pause it, do whatever you need to do. That is your dominant 7 chord. Okay, that has a very distinct sound that just wants to go kind of resolve back to the major. And then our 6 is another minor 7. Okay, so now writing this out and thinking of this, my 1 chord is a major 7. My 2 chord and my 3 chord are minor 7s. My 4 chord is a major 7. My 5 chord is a dominant 7. And my 6 chord is a minor 7. All right, so now we're getting into those 7s. All right, and the difference between a major 7 and a dominant 7, I did want to go into that, is a major 7 has a major chord, a major triad, right? And the seventh note is a half step away. So major with a 7 that's a half step away, or a natural 7 it's called. All right, for my 1 and my 4. A dominant chord is a major chord, but the 7 is flat. It's not a half step back, it's a whole step back to that 4. So it's a major chord, but that 7's down 1 to, and that gives us a very strong resolve. So that's like a 5-1, right? In chord progressions. I hope this will make sense. If it doesn't, right away. All right, keep watching, taking notes on it, writing down the positions, and then once you can get a grasp of all of that and it starts making sense and you can recognize the numeric system, we can start adding the modes in, so you can play appropriately over any chord progression. So that was a lot. All right, this may not be a one-time watch video. You might have to watch it a few times, but thank you guys, and comment if you have questions.